think, though. And if I felt that Teo was going to be underestimating Raleigh, I've watched the media. I watched today. I paid attention to the Instagram stuff. You guys know our community is very well researched. We're all doing stuff like that. We're all watching the interviews. We're seeing how they sound, because when you watch 21-year-old Teofimo Lopez and you follow his career, you see like 3 or 4 different versions of him. The Teo, pre-George, post-George, the Teo against Josh. That fight week was crazy. I don't know if you guys remember. Do you remember how much doubt people had on Teo? Even though Josh was kind of a shell of his prime, there was a lot of controversy during that fight week as well with him and his pops. So that's not a new thing. But what I was looking for the last few weeks with the media build up and the interviews with Teo was how he was speaking, the intention in what he was saying, mixed with what I'm seeing in his training camp, which you could find on the internet. I like all of that. With Raleigh, we know what we're getting. Raleigh is Raleigh. It's why people love him. It's why I'm a fan of Raleigh. If you guys ask me, Johnny, who are you more of a fan of? As a fan, I'd say Raleigh. I'm a fan of Raleigh. I've always said that. I'm happy. But we don't bet as fans. We bet as gamblers. If I would have been betting as a fan, I would have taken Errol to beat Tim. If I would have been betting as a fan, I would have taken Errol to beat Bud. You see what I'm saying? So we're gamblers. I think it's a 70-30 fight. Teo and Gary. Yeah, what's up, Walk? So Walk is reading my mind. And Walk is... Let's add that up real quick, because when I put that bet in, we're talking money line. If you go... This was the first ticket I gave the boys, this money line double. And we just got about 10 new VIPs in the last 24 hours. I do want to say shout out to Keith Moore. If you guys aren't following More Boxing, go do it now. If you guys are here because of Keith, I say welcome. We did a live stream yesterday. It went really well. Talking to him, as soon as I went live and you guys were watching, that was the first time I ever spoke to him in this context. So I always am able to tell how I'm going to vibe with somebody right off jump. And talking to Keith felt like I was talking to one of my college teammates. So if you haven't caught that live, it's on my channel. We didn't agree on everything, which is great. But if you're one of the newbies here from that live, thank you for supporting us. So the first ticket that I gave the boys last week for this coming weekend was what Walk is talking about. Gary was 77% return. Guys, I know some guys in our group who got Gary at plus money. I did not see my eyes on this fight when he was at plus money. He's down to 64. And so there you go. If you're still getting plus money, this is my favorite money line double of the weekend. And this is paying plus 132. So to finish that thought, every ticket that we create in our community is going to be double money. We sometimes have fun in the Discord and we'll do moonshot parlays. I don't put those on our Patreon. I'll just share those, kind of like, I don't want to call it a throwaway ticket. They're fun, right? The moonshot parlays are like 500 to 1 odds. What we do, how we make money week in and week out, is finding tickets to double our money, at least double our money. If I'm putting 100, I'm going to have 200, 1,000, 2,000, that sort of thing. And so this is my favorite money line double, plus 132. Jux, what's up? Get the Rakia ready, big dog. Get the Rakia. The Rakia. One of my closest mates here in Sydney is Serbian. And he's traveling the world now. And then, I'm half Slav. So if you don't know about that Rakia, introduce yourself to it. Is Antonio or Antoine? Antoine. So the best way to explain this, what's up, Solution? The oldest brother is Gary Russell Jr., former world champion. He's about 38 now. People think of Gary Russell Jr., the older brother, in a couple different ways. Team USA, former world champion, the older of the Russells, world-class hand speed of his era. I'm talking that world-class. When they think about Antoine, they think about a few things. The younger of the Russells, Team USA, current 140-pound champion, fan-friendly southpaw. And when people think about Antonio, they think about the brother who didn't make Team USA. He's the middle brother, but he's still good. He's still skilled. He if anything, when people criticize Antoine, it's like his only loss was, he was down on the cards. The fight ended. He fought a guy twice. The first time they fought, Rodriguez, it stopped early due to a head clash, no contest. The second time they fight, it goes a little bit deeper. Head clash again. He lost on points, and it turns into a technical decision. But the knock on him from at least coaches, the guys I chop it up with, guys who fought before, former pros. It's like he sometimes chooses to fight in a dogfight when he doesn't have to. And for me as a bettor, not all the time, but if that's going to be the knock, I could live with it. He's not like, we saw him get hurt before, but never hurt. And one of my boys was like, "Yeah, but when he got hurt, he kind of chose not to engage." I was like, that's kind of called surviving a little bit. He didn't get dropped. The fight against Rodriguez, but he got stunned, and it kind of changed the trajectory of that fight. He has great hand speed. He has a great fight IQ. He's still from the cloth. He's cut from the cloth. So to answer your question, Antoine is what you know as GAR. He's the better one. The boys are doing my work for me. Great insight, boys. I legit thought Antoine was fighting. Nah, man. If Antoine was fighting, you would have saw me do a Stats Don't Lie video. He's one of my favorite fighters. Every time GAR fights, you're gonna get one of my Stats Don't Lie video breakdowns. Johnny, what's good? I like Teo on points. Also, prayers of Vladimir Kitcho passing. Yeah, King of Fitness, man. I appreciate. Obviously, you've been supporting our community and adding value to our community from pretty much. I remember you here from last August, at least somewhere around there, and your high level pro sporting background. You bring a very positive, spiritual, family based element to our group, man. I respect that, and I really like that about you. Yeah, you're referring to, she was a Hollywood actress. She was found unresponsive. I don't spend Hayden Pantier. I don't know any of the shows she was in. I know her when she was in. It was either Remember the Titans or Friday Night Lights. Right? Life is fleeting, man. We know that. Life is fleeting. Brooke, Cibrian, Lupita. Emma Banana, I was asked about this in our Discord. If you guys aren't in our Discord, one of our assassins who does amazing work, if you provide value, this is all you have to know about me, and this is how I am in real life as well. If you provide value to my life, whether it's you're the usher at my girlfriend's building who holds the door, or you're a guy who I've never met in real life who puts in hours of research and insight, and I enjoy your style of writing, or you support the chat, I'm going to be a loyalist to you. So I talk highly of Barium because he's one of these guys who I don't know him outside of his tag name. I just read his work, and it's to the point whenever you see somebody putting energy and effort into this game that we do, I don't even keep track of his wins and losses. That's not how I look at this. Like I focus on the energy put in. So he has a great breakdown on Cibrian and Lupita. By the time I got Cibrian and Lupita on my books, it was yesterday. And so that ship has sailed for me to do film study. I don't have time to do film study. I'm not going to do film study on it, and I'm not going to bet that fight. But if you want me to do for you, I will read you real quick. I'll paraphrase what Barium wrote about this fight. So this is in our Discord, and I think Emma, I don't know if you're in our Discord. You might be, and don't get offended if you are, and I don't know. And if you're not, you could join by clicking the link. So this is Barium Boxing, his breakdown. Um, and you could follow him on Twitter. He goes, I back Lupita to win, but I don't think it'll be easy. While she has the faster hands and better technical skills, I don't think she has the power to hurt Brooke. Cibrian is pretty aggressive, has a high work rate, and will keep coming forward and making her work. She gave Plata, a former unified world champion, competitive work in the early rounds of their fight. If Lupita keeps the fight in the middle of the ring and keeps turning her, then she wins on points. She has to avoid the ropes and extended exchanges on the inside. The babyface assassin is young. She's 22 and she's pretty. She has a large social media following, and MVP sees her as a long-term investment. I expect her to get a points victory. So that's his take. JSB locking in. What are your thoughts on babyface assassin fighting Brooke? There we go. Hopefully you're still here. Hopefully you got that. Guys, we're 15 minutes in. There's 70 in here. Just like the video for me. Lupita under MVP. JK letting her lose. Mr. Get Money. Mr. Get No Money needs to turn that name into Mr. Get Mo Money. Or Mr. Get Yo Money. Or you could go Mr. Get Yo Money Up. So change the N to a Y, and after the Y in money, do an up sign. Mr. Get Your Money Up. Not Mr. Get No Money. Come on, baby. You got to have a positive philosophy. The way we perceive one thing is the way we perceive everything. Perception is huge in our lives. Let's go. Mr. Get Your Money Up. Lupita by Masterclass. Teo and Pop's family dynamic is so toxic. My good conscience will never allow me to put money on those nutcases. And 93 Octane, I'm not going to push back on you on that. From what I do, like I treat this like a business. It's growing. I mean, like my online presence, everything from YouTube to Patreon to Discord to Instagram. This is a fight that obviously it's a big one. So from my perspective, it's a must break down, and I had fun breaking it down. But I do understand, obviously, your take. David and Goliath. See, this is the perspective. Let's get this money, not Mr. Get No Money. Change your name, please, for me to Mr. Get Yo Money Up, because I think that kind of makes more sense for our community. David and Goliath, 40-40. Nature Boy. I was looking at Lupita also minus. I'll just bring the odds up then, boys. And I'm never gonna sit here. I do want to mention, because there's been some guys online who other content creators who will constantly talk about me, which is fine. But you guys know this. Just because I don't do an actual stats don't lie video on all these fights doesn't mean I haven't researched every bet that I make. So if you ever see me on the tickets, if you're in our group, any fight you ever have always ever and will ever bet on, just know I've taped it. And so you could ask me on these live streams. But if it's a D-level domestic Brit fight, I'm not getting out my film equipment. I'm not editing it. We could talk about it on the live stream. So I want you to know that. And on the other side of that, just like this Lupita and Cibrian, I didn't tape it. The fight came to me in my book yesterday. It's already the end of the week. Usually I'll have all of my boxing bets in by Wednesday. And if I don't tape it and don't have a read, I will then do what I just did. And if we have a sniper like Barium who gives us a read, I'll read it to you. And if not, I'll tell you what I tell you, and I didn't bet on it. But let's see what these odds are. Because Lupita, so Lupita she's very attractive, right? Yeah, babyface assassin. It's a good fight. Medina versus Cyprian. It's a good fight. It's a good fight. I thought, you know who I thought Lupita Medina was? I thought she was. I do have a style. I mean, I do have a certain taste. If you look at all the girls I date, if you look at uh, my beautiful Christina, and like, so I do have sort of I do like dark hair, brunette, brown eye, tan girls. I'll just leave it at that. That's my style. Oh, Jocelyn Camarillo. I thought Jocelyn Camarillo was Lupita Medina, um, just based off of marketing. But yeah, I'll leave it at that. Okay, here we got Medina and Cyprian. All right, and also the odds are. See, I didn't get this fight is tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Guys, we got fights starting in 24 hours. Let's get our spirits high. Let's get our intentions high, and let's get our bank accounts high. Let's do this. Look at these odds. So you're telling me Medina started. Okay, it's not that crazy. Money has come in on Lupita. So I think it's fair to say, guys, and this is just my take, being logical. Whichever one you like, you'd probably take points. Obvious. That's the thing. I don't think either one of these girls are going to stop each other. What's up, boys? John Maggs, let's go. We're getting closer and closer, Jay. We're getting closer and closer to the start of the football season. And without digressing too much, it is painstakingly heartbreaking being a Cleveland sports fan, waking up seeing the contract I don't want to talk about the Browns. Get your money up, hit the listen to Andy, my boy. Sunday, and I got you Grandmaster with an A, Mister Get your money up. I do like the Beavis and Butthead picture too, though. That was our generation. I don't know. You're probably younger than me. We got a lot of the YouTube gives me these analytics, and it says that the core of our community is 21 to 35. A big percentage is actually 21 to 28. So I technically could be some of your guys' fathers, technically. Mr. Get Your Money Up, right? Isn't that? I think that makes sense to me. I like that name. I like that name. Catterall versus Keyshawn should be an interesting fight if it does happen. This is what's up, King. It's crazy, man. I think what we're gonna do is keep winning money on Jack. I'm saying that's not me saying I think Jack would beat Keyshawn. I think what I'm seeing in the comment section on Instagram is people. Keyshawn's one of these polarizing fighters who has a strong, right now, regional following, a strong, loyal regional following. And I feel it's not out of question to think if he gets everything locked in and puts together an active couple years, he could gain a really, really large national following. But I'm reading a lot of comments on sort of like the sites like Ring and DAZN Boxing that people just think Catterall's some pushover. Jack is a tricky southpaw with great timing on his backhand. He manages distance really well. He's more experienced. He's a confident fighter. So I rate Keyshawn though. I think Keyshawn Davis is special. I know it's not a popular opinion, but once again, my perspective always has to come down to what I see from a fighter presented in the ring and then what I see potentially in our bank account. I'm 100% not going to say this is an easy fight for Keyshawn, but if it does get signed, I'd be interested to see what the odds are. And I think it's a great spot for both men to showcase their skills at the world level. Sup, Johnny, littered by knockout, plus 74, selecting an Italian for an A-side formula the UK have used many times. Tia Marie. Yeah. What's up, Mike? Mike, I checked out that content creator you sent me in Discord, by the way. He's been just like over the last 6 months, people have been sending me a lot of the same couple content creators, which is good. It's a positive thing. One of them, we just did a collab. I have to look more into the one you sent me to see if because what I've been told is I don't know if he does the betting side of things, and betting depending on somebody's moral ethic. You know what I'm saying? So thank you for sending me that though. I every time you send something, I watch. What's your take on Carlos Utri to win by decision, Tito's uncle? So what's up, FJ? If you guys aren't following me on Instagram, and this isn't pitching my Insta, I use my Instagram story as like a 24/7 ticker of like boxing, whether it's breaking news, my take on an upcoming fight. In this case, I did put a little sneaky take on this fight because I taped it. I just didn't do a Stats on Live video on it. And I wrote, and if you do follow me on Insta, I'll follow you back. If you just say, hey, Jay, this is so-and-so from YouTube, say that because I get a lot of messages there and I'll follow you back. So Manny Retro asked me what was my reasoning for picking Utria, if you don't mind me asking. And I just said I rate him high on my prospect list. I put him up there with John Arobio, another Colombian aggressive slugger. When you watch Utria, you'll see an athletically gifted fighter with great hand speed, good power, and good footwork. He's young, strong, and possesses a versatile offensive artillery. He throws good punches. His jab is good. I like his uppercut. He has good hooks. He's aggressive, though. And I think at 22, 23 years old, it's that sort of confident slugger who's undefeated, who has those offensive skills that I really get interested in our sport. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, think about the confidence of 19-year-old Abdullah, and look what he's done with his confidence. And, I'm talking about Mason. I'm not comparing Utria to Mason, but sometimes when you see young fighters, they're successful at that age, not necessarily, maybe because they're a defensive savant. Maybe it's because they have a good fight IQ or they win on points and they know that, like, that's fine too. But when I see like a guy in his early 20s who's an aggressive, confident slugger, I'm like, I'm going to pay attention. And then having watched him, I don't know why a true boxing head, and this is no shade to any guys out there who probably are boxing heads who maybe just don't value the WBC Grand Prix. Like, I value that tournament. I think that is a solid feather in the cap for anybody to win the WBC Grand Prix. Just like I talked about Dylan Biggs from Australia, same about Carlos Utria. I think he fought 4 times, 2 stoppages, 2 wins, but you really get to see his versatility in his skill set. And in terms of Israel Mercado at 31 years old, if you're a 31-year-old fighter as a B-side guy and you really don't have an identity and your best moments have come a half a decade ago against a guy that people kind of rate, in a loss. You guys have heard me say this before in breakdowns, is I don't put relevance in guys who their best moments came in losses. And that's just from a logical betting perspective. So I have no problem, and this is another thing. We're gamblers. We take risks. So from what I've seen in Utria, what I feel that he could be in his potential, what I've seen in Mercado, what I feel that he is, I'm willing to be wrong on playing Utria, and I think I played Utria by knockout. Let me check. Like this is what I do for a living, so nobody's 100% right. What I always attempt to do though is correlate what I see, what I know, what I've experienced personally with gloves on into all of this. So I'm using Utria. I'm using the prop, and the prop knockout sucks because it's not high. It's not paying a lot, but for a half unit, I don't know what your bankroll is. I like how, shout out to Keith again, man. More boxing. He said he said his unit's $100, his half unit's 50, and then the maths are easy. And I respect that he said that, and I get asked all the time about my unit, what it actually is, and I have a personal different perspective on that. in I don't it comes strictly to my time living in Las Vegas, Nevada, working on the Boulevard in the casinos. I worked at Planet Hollywood, I worked at the Wynn, and so I never thought in those years that I'd be doing this. And I've seen what money I never want to make anybody feel inferior, and I never want to make anyone feel less than what they are. And I feel like one of the way I could mitigate that with no question is just trying to limit or obscure how much I'm betting versus how much the other person is betting. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not a guy. I'm not a guy who I don't care about bragging. I don't care about objects. I've never been that sort of guy. So that being said, I have a half unit. My half unit is on Jimmy Sains by knockout and Carlos Utria by knockout. And that pays plus 156. So I look at that. And if you're prop hunting, props are always going to be the most risky. So if your bankroll is 100, if your unit is 1,000, whatever it is, so it's going to be somewhere in between. And you're new to this, betting props will be the most risky. So in my head, I'm going half unit on a prop double. Hypothetically, if this comes through, I'll have that as a W. And then who knows? In my mind, strategically, I will then turn. I use half units, by the way, to then flip into unit bets in the future. That's how I strategize. So if I see this prop double paying plus money, I'll go half unit. Risk will be high. It hits, and then I have my eyes on the prize, and then I'm looking at a full unit bet. I'm going to use that, and I'm going to see, all right. And a full unit for me is usually like a plus 110 dog, or sometimes a money line triple. It just depends on the week. It depends on what we got. Thoughts on MVT's Jamal Harvey? Yeah, I like Jamal Harvey. I rate Jamal Harvey. I like his amateur pedigree. He's strong. He has a good mind for the game, good speed, good feet, good power. This matchmaking, he's fighting a guy named Hamit, who's like a 14-1 dog. If I had an opportunity, I would play Harvey by knockout. I'm not getting the prop. He's only 4% return on $100, so that's unplayable. But I like him in this matchup. He's a fun guy to keep an eye on. There's a lot of different money to be made. Let's go just get the right picks to be made. Let's go just in FJ, and I've seen you on here before, is like, this is what I mean. Every week, because we don't have a season, we have fights every week. And the way I schedule my live streams the way I view the content that we talk about is these live streams Monday through Friday is us laying the table out at an all-you-can-eat buffet. And we put all the food on the table. And we see like the crab legs, the lobsters, the things we'll eat, the things we might eat, the things we won't eat. And those are the fights. And then the ones we eat are our bets. And it's like, if we have this long table, think the famous painting of the Last Supper, a table such as that, and we have all these options to eat, I should be able to do my job week in and week out to find you something to eat. And I take pride in that. And I do. And that's why we're growing. But I'd be lying to tell you if it didn't stress me out every week. Every week it's stressful, because it's like I'm trying. I'm very aware, because of how transparent I am, showing you my tickets, talking about the reads, and how particular and educated you guys are, whether we agree or disagree. I have to perform. And maybe it's my athletic background, playing my whole life at different sports and playing at a high level at one sport. I like it. I like the competition. I like the stress. I view fight weekend. This is gonna sound crazy, and maybe I'm just a nerd, but I go in the fight weekend mentally like I'd be going into like a fight. Or high school. I played in a really competitive baseball league, and this was my connection with Kelly Pavlik. Kelly Pavlik and I met when we were 7 in a really competitive baseball league, and we just happened to play on the same team for 6 years. And we would travel Ohio, Western Pennsylvania as the best players of our area, and he was my catcher. He was a stud at baseball. I tell everybody who wants to hear it. If Kelly never quit baseball to box, he would have played in the league. 100. I have no doubt. And I was his pitcher. So I was pitching. And I remember how if we were playing against a team, and this was like, you know, Kelly and I last played together when we were 13, but I kept on playing past high school and then in college. But I remember if I was playing a team that we were supposed to beat and I was pitching, I would be like, I'd kind of be bummed out that my coach, because the coach would tell you if you're pitching or not prior. I'd be, man, I don't want to pitch against these guys. Let me pitch against the team that we're supposed to lose to. Like, that's always been my mindset, because that's how I'd be able to, like, I want to prove them wrong. My mental landscape every fight weekend in doing this is the same exact thing. That's how I'm wired. 5-pick depth parlay. I like it, brother. I like the marketing. The depth parlay. Sweet. Went from the UFC. Chris Cyborg to beat Caitlin. Teo Moneyline. Amanda TKO. Babyface. Assassin. Beautiful. I know you shared this in the Discord. Tag the boys. Ryo, what's up, fellas? Let's rob these boys. Let's go. Let's go. I'm just looking at Lupita's record. I just want to look at her, not interested in the betting. Well, yeah. And it's part of marketing, man. You know, think about in this boxing's in the entertainment business. If you happen to be, I think it comes down to genetics, though, because when you think about on the male and female side of any athletic endeavor, genetics play a big part in physicality. Genetics play obviously a big part in how we look, skill set, talent. So generally, there is probably a correlation with high level performance and visual optics or aesthetics. Not all the time, obviously. Google Tyrone Hill. I feel bad. Shout out to Tyrone Hill getting hit with strays on the JSB Discord, on the JSB live stream. He was a former Cavalier when I was a kid, and we'd go to old Cavs games. I'm talking like 90s Cavs teams with like Mark Price, Brad Daugherty, Larry Nance, Hot Rod Williams. But Tyrone Hill came when we had one of, in my opinion, the most overlooked point guard of all time. No one talks about Terrell Brandon. Terrell Brandon, dude, at point guard for a small, he had a small amount of time, but there was a window where Terrell Brandon, he was an undersized point guard, but Terrell Brandon was nice. He came after Price got hurt and got traded, and then we had these bad, but Terrell Brandon played with like Tyrone Hill, Bobby Phills, rest in peace. I've been Bobby Sura. I've been a fan of the Cavs since I was born, but the genetic aesthetic thing isn't always obviously 100%. You do have your outliers. In steps Tyrone Hill. John, you like Jimmy Sains to win, and do you also like Teofimo? I'm high on Jimmy. Jimmy's fighting Morello in Italian. Never fought out it. Look, I'm high on Jimmy Sains, man. I'm not stressed on that fight. I think this is a good spot. My bad. Littered's fighting Morello. Jimmy's fighting Callan. Yeah, I think Jimmy steamrolls Callan, by the way. What's up, Johnny? What's your take? Amanda 1-6. I just have Amanda by knockout. Did you see these odds though, bro? The 1-6. This is where the sharps. Here's what I was just looking at this yesterday. Shout out to Mayo for reminding me, unbeknownst to him. But I was just looking at the round margins yesterday. And it's pretty crazy. Now, I'm not doing a round margin. I got Amanda when she was $1. She's down to $1.28 on the knockout. Is insane. I got Amanda at $1.50 on the knockout. She's down to $1.28. I also placed that last Monday, right? Okay. So that's my only play on Amanda. By knockout, 50% return. She's down to 28%. We know about what's at stake. We know about the history. We know what's on the line for Amanda in this fight. We talked about that all week. 5-6 is only paying plus 370. That is a crazy. For a knockout to happen so specific in a girls fight, that's insane. It's only paying plus 370. The margin, yeah. Let's see. All right, 1 through 6, 92%, 7 to 12 plus 260. It just comes down to Mayo strategically how you're going to use that and your bankroll. I hope nobody here is going too heavy on props this weekend. And look, that's not to say that somebody in my Discord right now is tagging me and they're a prop. They make their money on props. There could be. It's not how I always say it. It's not how I butter my bread. I'm a plus 110, plus 300 dog guy, and I'm a double your money parlay 3 to 4 leg guy. Props for me, it's the Wild West out there. So because philosophically I wouldn't go heavy on the round margin, I'd have to take the plus 260 because of the 2-minute rounds, because I'm not going super heavy on it. I would also probably use a prop like that is so specific. I would probably use it in kind of a crazy parlay. You know what I'm saying? So it just depends on what you kind of want to use it for. If you're just asking me professionally, Johnny, do you think Amanda gets her out of there before the 19th minute? I could see that happening. You could see her as soon as this fight starts wanting to make a statement. You could see a path for that. You could see her pressing her, thinking she's not at her level. She is tiny, what, 5'1", it says? 5'2"? Kind of looks durable, but by no means at the level Amanda's on. You know, you don't think Amanda would play with her food, and if she feels her opponent's even a level below her, she's not going to go easy on her. So 1 through 6, there's a reason it's not plus money. It just depends on what you want to do with it. Yayo, my guy. Yayo, we need you at your best this weekend, Yayo. We need you in good spirits. We need you racking up these W's, and we need the positivity at all-time high. You got people worried about you in the group, Yayo. You're a beast. Thank you for the 1,000 joules pinata. I got some good value. Saints, Jimmy Sains. I'm playing the Jimmy Sains knockout. Sorry. I know it's not a popular pick. Look, when you do, and this is another one, like when you watch, you don't have to watch too much. Tom Cowling. I don't think Tom Cowling is live. I don't think Tom Cowling beat Aaron Bowen. I think when people talk about Tom Cowling, they say he beat Aaron Bowen. I disagree. He got dropped in that fight. I thought he lost that fight. Jimmy Sains and Tom Cowling have a common opponent. They fought this common opponent within a year of each other, only 18 months ago. The difference, Tom Cowling lost to this opponent. Jimmy Sains knocked this opponent out. That's another sort of thing. So 25% return on the money line is a good parlay piece. I also, if I'm propping it up, I like Sains by knockout. I'm Dolly Roja. Oh, you're Dolly Roja? Oh, you got Egyptian prescription, my guy. What a name. How am I supposed to know these names? Keith Moore, Terry Lance, Yo Johnny. This is so Q. This is FJ. FJ, I just followed you back, big dog. View profile, follow back. And then this is Danny Roja. Am I following Danny already? Dolly Roja. Follow back. All right, big dog. Thanks for clarifying. Lupita by decision, Maeli money line, Amanda knockout. I guess, to be honest, not sure she'll get the knockout. Look, the reason why with the Amanda Serrano knockout, and I agree with the hesitation. I tend not to play female boxers by knockout. Maybe that's me being too stringent. When I make these hard-lined stances, it's not me telling you I know more than you. And I try not to have any hardline stance in anything with betting because I don't want to either trick myself into leaving money on the table or trick myself into letting my ego get the best of me. Okay? I think as a bettor, it is important to have boundaries with, how you operate. The only hardline stances I have is when it comes to money in my account and money going out of my account. If there's a certain amount, I'm taking it out. And that's my own hardline stance. And that number should be different for everybody. And if I lose, I don't chase. Those are hardline stances. But on this note, me saying I don't bet on any female to get the knockout only means the only girl that I have a history of winning in the last 12 months consecutively as a female getting knockouts is Gabby Fundora. That's not to say that, you know, there's the girl from Turkey, Alif. She got the one knockout, and then everybody got knockout happy, and she hasn't got a knockout since. So I know guys now who talk shit about Alif because they initially won money on her to stop Ferreira, and they got it at a crazy price. And then her last two fights, she had a fight after that. She fought the Aussie Taylor Getz, and it went the distance. And then people said Alif sucks because she didn't get the knockout. And then Alif went to the States and fought the really tough Texas prospect to a decision win. And so I personally didn't I didn't play the knockouts there. But Gabby, I have. I could see 2 knockouts. For Amanda, I am playing Amanda based off of actually Jake Paul. And that sounds crazy. Jake Paul is a element of why I'm playing the knockout. Because we know about how competitive he is, how much he likes to flex. We know about, what he's doing for women's sports, the rivalry with Clarissa and Jake, the rivalry with Clarissa and Amanda, the rivalry with Clarissa saying she's the GOAT and Amanda calling herself the MOAT, the most accomplished of all time, I think she's saying now. And we know what Clarissa just looked like by getting the knockout. And Clarissa needed that knockout. Amanda is going to have Christy Martin in the crowd. This MVP card was built around her. This opponent was picked for history to be made. Now, did anyone tell her opponent that? I'm not sure. We'll see if her opponent. We'll know real quick if her opponent got the message. If she's playing by script. So all of that is into play for my knockout prop. I generally don't play Amanda by knockout, even with all of her high knockout to win ratio, because when you look at over the last few years and who those knockouts came against, it'll make sense. Johnny, who do you want to start at quarterback? Bro, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's a sad topic, bro. It's a sad topic. We were one horrible pass interference call away in 2022 when we're playing in the AFC conference playoff game, and we had a 17-point lead against the punk-ass Chiefs, and we had a young quarterback who was cooking, Baker. He was, the game before, became one of only 2 Browns quarterbacks since Bernie Kosar to win a playoff game. He was in his early 20s, charismatic as fuck, athletic, had the locker room around him, was beating Kansas City, and they throw a phantom pass interference call favoring Kansas City, and then we go on to lose, and then in the offseason, they let go of Baker to get Deshaun. I don't want to talk about it, dude. And this just goes and stacks upon the decades of sadness and heartbreaking of being a Cleveland sports fan, starting with The fumble with Ernest Biner, in the snow. Art Modell, we have a young running back in Ernest Biner who's a projected Pro Bowler, and we're playing in the AFC title game in a snow out, and we could have kicked the field goal to win the game, but they want one more yard for positioning. This was, I think, 1986. I was 4 years old. Biner fumbles the ball. We lose. It's called the fumble. And then they trade Biner. And then Biner went on to win Super Bowls and have a Hall of Fame-esque career with Washington. Same generation. The drive. Cleveland against the Broncos. Up. Winning. Up by 6 with like 58 seconds left. Denver's on their 1-yard line. And Elway drives 99 yards in the snow in Cleveland to beat us. That's called the drive. The mistake by the lake. Don't even let me talk about Cleveland, the Indians. In the 90s, we had 3 of the greatest offenses in Major League Baseball history. The strike-shortened season in 94, and that season was canceled. The 97 team that lost to the Braves, or the 95 team that lost to the Braves, and the 97 team that lost to the freaking Marlins. Bro. Yuck. Don't even get me started, mate. And then overnight, Modell moves Cleveland to Baltimore. Like, are you kidding me, dude? Oh, I wish you would have brought that up. At least we got the Buckeyes. My whole family went to Ohio State. I'm from Ohio. I'm a diehard Ohio State Buckeye. Her opponent can pull an upset. Maybe I seen her and said she really looked good. Jimmy Saints by knockout or just the regular money line for the parlay to play it safe. I have it on 2. Both. I have a couple. My money line, guys, stay money line. I'm not in all of my options or me from all of my strategy of betting is my experience of adjustments through losses. So my money line picks, once we get plus money, those are on 1 ticket. Now I'll play a couple half unit props. So then, I like the Jimmy knockout prop. I think George Littard is going to steamroll Morello. Morello's an Italian being brought in as cannon fodder who's never fought out of Italy. I rate George Littard. He's big, he's strong, he's athletic. To answer one of your questions you guys had in my Discord, I didn't answer it. George Littard and Jimmy Sains will never fight each other. I saw somebody who was like, Jimmy Sains always seems to be on George Littard's card. Guys, they're childhood friends. They're sparring partners. And they've made public messages before saying they would never fight. So that's why you see them, though. They're on this journey together. That sort of agreement that Keyshawn and Shakur made, which I hope... I don't agree with that, by the way. I want to see everyone fight. Carlos Utria, moneyline, play it safe, or by decision over 7.5. He could get the KO for being... I don't mind Utria. I think Utria is going to stop him. Yoenli, moneyline. The only play I have for Yoenli, I got him at $1.10. Earlier in the week. Gary Russell, money line, if I go the distance. My boy's giving it all away. Skeezy, you're in Bali. How dare you? Is Potato Head still open, Skeezy? I haven't been to Bali since 2018. At the time in 2018, there was an awesome beach club called Potato Head, and I had a blast there. That's all I'm going to say. Res Unique, what's up from New Zealand, JSB fam? Kiwis in the house, New Zealand's in the house. I can't talk. We're talking boxing. We're talking New Zealand. It would be sacrilegious to not pay homage to one of my favorite childhood fighters and one of my favorite heavyweights, and in my opinion, one of the greatest fighters of all time to never win a title, David Tua. Stud. Big fan of Tua, mate. If you haven't seen it, watch Tua versus Ibeabuchi. Do you see Raleigh landing a big shot and freezing Taylor for the whole fight because of Raleigh's power? That's what I'm thinking. Why was Ryan why was Ryan so gun shy? Yeah, what's up, Floyd? I understand. I like the new picture too, big dog. I like the new icon. What do the young kids call that? A profile pic? I don't know. I'm old. I like the FX. It's dope. I don't know, man, but we as bettors, we only can predict on things that we feel are going to happen, and the way we hypothesize with that prediction is based on things that we've seen happen. Teo is not Ryan, you know? And so when have the Ryan fight, when have we ever seen Rawley freeze an opponent? Like, who's the best? You'd have to say Teo's the best guy. Rawley's lost to Tank. Rawley has lost to Pitbull. Been stopped twice. I think Teo's still good, man. I think Teofimo Lopez's skill set. I think he was made. I think he still has a little bit left in the tank. When we're talking about guys who might be on the back end, he's still in his 20s. I do admit he's not the guy he was when who fought Loma. I do concede to the psychological hesitations. But if you're not going to get up for this fight, you need to just hang him up. He just signed a new deal. He has a lot. Think about the chip on his shoulder, guys. Think about the chip on the shoulder. I'm worried he's going to storm. He's going to storm through Rawley because I got Teo on points. Pittsburgh Black. You know, I lived in Pittsburgh for 2 years. I love my days living in Pittsburgh, mate. I lived on the south side, right behind Carson Street on Jane Street, by the Equitable gas sign. That's when I went to Pitt. That would have been in 2002 and 2003. Back when I haven't been there in years, but I always tell people Pittsburgh is America's best kept secret. I love Pittsburgh. You're making this fight more complicated. It's simple. If Teo can't keep Rawley off him, it's going to be a long night. Rawley has problems with punchers. Nah, Rawley struggles with boxers too. I think Rawley's going to struggle with Teo. No plus money after 4. Talk to him, Pittsburgh. Talk to him. I want to take Avia's knockout 1 to 2 rounds. Do it then. Savage. 7-12. Talk to him. She's going to make Serrano chase the whole round. She's not going to fight. How big's that ring? I think the Utria Mercado fight goes the distance, that plus 125, even though I believe Utria pulls it off. Mercado has some decent amateur experience that carries him. He's fought Shushu and Teo both. Yes, this is the Utria Mercado fight. Yeah, man, props get so damn tricky. That's why I'm never comfortable with any of this. The girl Serrano was fighting was KO twice, both before round 6. Just saying it's a good stat. Listen to Fallback. My bad, without Shushu, but he fought Fulton, Gary Russell, and some other decent comp in the Emmys. Yeah, my reservation though with Mercado. It's like, what's taken so, like, I don't know. If Utria is who I think he is, and Mercado's not the puncher that Utria believes he isn't, I don't see Utria having any respect for Mercado. It's not like Utria, he moves around good. He's wild. He's aggressive. I like the uppercut a lot. I like his jab. But then again, man, I could get sometimes honey dicked by young sluggers. Like John Arobio is one of my favorite prospects. I know people are like, dude, that kid, based on his aggression, and he's also a Colombian, a kid from Colombia. Arobio fights out of Montreal, though. Boxing fan, haven't seen you in a live. If you're using props in boxing, use the round robin strategy to cover you can lose a leg and still walk off. Listen to him. Free game. Mason Jones, UFC lock of the week. Somebody finally, what's up, Manny? I have yet to make anybody on the UFC side of things want to pop on? We're an hour in. We got 90 people in here. I still haven't made my UFC picks. I'm not going to force anything. I've been watching. I remember watching Mason Jones when he was a teenager fighting in Cage Warriors. And then he got signed to the UFC, had a couple great fights. As soon as Mason got to the UFC, he was matched extremely tough. He proactively left the UFC to go back to Cage Warriors. He said he wasn't developed enough, and then he came back. I think people are sleeping on Dorsaneville. Like I've watched Stanley Dorsaneville. I'm probably butchering that name. He's a he was fighting in area the French MMA. He's super aggressive. I'm glad I think he probably took this on short notice. If anything, I like Stanley at plus money here on the down low. I know not a lot of UFC fans will know who that is. And and I told you guys, just because I don't talk about it a lot, I watch regional MMA. I watch just as much MMA as I do as boxing. And this kid Stanley, I'll show you why I like Stanley Dorsonville. I knew he was fighting. They call him the drill. I shared this in our Discord 2 weeks ago when they said he was fighting. He only has 5 pro fights. I watched Stanley fight in where was he fighting at? He was fighting in the LFA. Before the LFA, he fought, was it Aries? No, Peak. This one, Rise of a Warrior. He's ultra aggressive. He's young. Yeah, I'm gonna take Drill here. That's my dog. I gotta stick with my guns here. I was excited when I saw they were giving Drill a shot. I'm excited that he's at plus money. I think this is a good spot against Gage Young, even though Gage is experienced. Stanley's super aggressive. All right, so I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna play Drill. You and Brian Ortega. Ortega, man, what a good run he had. Brian Ortega. Short run. It shows you why it's so important to have a positive circle of influence, man, because it seems like Ortega, they were trying to market that, you guys know this, the relationship between him and Cortez. I think he's probably spoken publicly about this, how like it was super toxic and the UFC were trying to market them as like a it couple, and he'd have to like do these like media sort of moments with her, and meanwhile, anyway, he never really was the same guy after that. T City in the house. Fun fighter. That dude, talk of the head scratching performance against Eljo when they fought in China. That fight always stands out to me. Or when freaking Max was beating the dog piss out of him, and in the pocket, Max is teaching him how to box. Do you guys remember this? Ortega is like a shell. He got his ass beat. And in the fight, Max is telling Ortega and lifting Ortega's lead hand up for him. He's picking his hand up while he's throwing the check hook. Insane stuff. But then you remember, wasn't it T City who pulled the guillotine on Cub Swanson? So like, I've watched T City's whole career, man. When that's the volatility though of betting on the UFC and MMA, and I call it a condomless whorehouse. And I use this. Sorry for the brash analogy, but think about how risky the hypothetical condomless whorehouse is. That same risk and volatility is betting on the UFC and the Dana White Contender Series. So, and I know there's a lot of content creators with millions of subscribers who make all this content look, and they're experts, and but dude, don't believe everything you see online. Don't, just because somebody's showing you, unless they're giving you their tips before and you're seeing it, that would be my truth. That's the only truth I live by, because I've been watching MMA. I've been betting on MMA my whole life. MMA betting changed in 2015. Up until 2015, I used to rob the banks with UFC betting because of the matchmaking. I say 2015 because that was when the Reebok deal came into play, and before that deal, the fighters were allowed to wear their own sort of gear. Do you remember what the UFC used to look a lot different, and then they got uniformed, and it's just a moment in time where I feel a lot of things changed. The odds, the matchmaking. There's a lot of parity in the UFC, so it's volatile as hell. What do you mean by playing by script? Old live gonna take a knee. No, the script of Christy Martin being in the crowd. Christy Martin is tied with Amanda Serrano for the most knockouts in female boxing history. Christy Martin is in the crowd. It's a Jake Paul card. Amanda Serrano has an opportunity to make history with a card built around her. A week after, Clarissa Shields just sold out a place in Georgia and won by knockout. The scripts. PTSD Browns fans, cool. We got boxing. iPhone Browns, I know that Chiefs game. Oh, user. I'm sorry, boys. Browns got Sanders. He good. The saddest. Bro. If you don't know what B-dubs is, BW3s, man. Shout out to the Ohio boys in here, man. Because I only see the screen names. It's good to see some of my people in here. You guys are all and this is why you can meet. You can bump into a dude at the airport, and all of a sudden you're talking for 2 hours about boxing. Boxing is our language, our universal language. But to add another layer to that, to add Ohio boys in here, man, that's amazing. Johnny, you looking at Taco Padilla? Oh, Johnny, let's see the odds. Taco's fighting. See, Padilla. He's fighting Mini Kelvin Gastelum. I'll look into it. Is that your take? See, I know Larry and Douglas is. I gotta stop getting honey dick by my old heads. I like Jamal Emmers, man. I like Jamal Emmers. I'm not gonna say I'm gonna bet on Jamal Emmers, but I feel Jamal Emmers is super underrated. He's like 37 now. I remember when Jamal Emmers had the cornrows and then he shaved the hair. I've seen Jamal. Wasn't he like a 4-1 dog against Nate the Train? And like I've seen him get cut. I've seen him come back. He's in a tough spot at plus 310. I mean, Jamal Emmers, he's skilled. He's a veteran. He can punch. And Douglas is a puncher. Am I right? How do you get a read on all these fights? There's no way you can do all this. Yeah. Well, there's great question. There's levels to tape. There's no, from what I do, there's no way that every fight matchup is created the same regarding time I'm putting in to watching tape. So that's my own. Obviously, I have a strategy. So everybody has different. Some matchups require different levels of examination, different time quantity devoted to them, and some don't. But every fight that I've bet on in the past, and I will bet on that I give away, is 100% been examined through my own strategy. But that doesn't mean I'm not gonna do a stats don't lie video on punk ass DB Cooper versus Teddy Roosevelt. The Tua man, my guy. It's because Johnny's the GOAT, and the info and analysis impeccable and honorable from not just him, but our team. It's a team thing. Thank you, brother. Thank you. I appreciate the support. I don't like getting compliments. I've never dealt with compliments too well. That's my own psychological issues that I have to deal with. But thank you. I was telling my girl the other night, when I was a kid, my dad would always brag about me to his friends from like sporting endeavors, and I'd get shut up, you fucking idiot. Like I hated when he would like if we won like a game or a championship or I did good, and he would like talk about me positively to his friends. I hated it. It's so weird. It's my own issues. So I've always struggled with getting compliments with anything. It's weird. Raleigh sounds like Keith Thurman. My guy Jack Stopko telling us how RT. Ohio in the house. You remember? Yeah. What's up, big dog? Jake Bellinger. I can't. You know what? As long as we title it that, because you know what happened last year is that the football season started off on fire. I did a couple parlays and we started off on fire, and then people expected me to perform with the same accuracy as I perform with my boxing plays. And it's just NFL is a long season. College football is a long season. I do have a higher rate in college football. I don't know if I'm going to combine football and boxing. I might have to get talked into that. Never doubt Raleigh, though. Before he was ever signed to Florida, he used to say, I'm a bit. I like Raleigh, man. Look, I've always been a fan of Raleigh. Shout out to Joseph Brown, the prodigy. Joseph Brown is on this undercard. If you go to my playlist on my YouTube, interviews with important people, there's an interview I did with Joseph when he was 17 and his father. Raleigh has mentored Joseph for many years. Raleigh is a stand-up guy. Like, I've been, you could find footage of Raleigh and Carmel when Carmel was like 9. Like, Raleigh Romero is a good dude, man. But I bet with my wallet, Teofimo Lopez is a high-level boxer. There's no way I'm betting against a motivated Teofimo Lopez. This is a kid. One of the most powerful drugs in boxing, in world-class boxing, is redemption. It's a very, very powerful motivator. Is redemption. That'll get you through sessions you don't want to do. That'll get you through deep waters within the fight. What I've been seeing from Teo in his interviews and his training, I'm seeing a kid who's out for redemption, not a kid who's fighting Raleigh. Like what I'm seeing from him, what I'm hearing from him, it doesn't seem to me that Teo is fighting Raleigh. He's fighting something bigger. That's what I'm betting on, and I'm comfortable with that bet. That's why you see Teo on multiple tickets. So from my psychology background in university, working with fighters, being an athlete myself, I'm betting on what I'm seeing in the prediction or hypothesis of Teofimo Lopez. What he's fighting for has nothing to do with Raleigh. And that, my friend, is very powerful. Do you agree with my Ellie? She's my dog of the week. What are you talking about, dude? I got my Ollie at plus 140. If sports wasn't rigged, all the books would probably go out of business. If sports wasn't rigged. Yeah, but I don't know, man. I can't agree with that. That's such a generalized statement because as humans, it's in our DNA to compete. The books are the books because there's degenerates and addicts. So you have to unpeel that onion deeper than the outcome of what you feel is rigged. The outcome of what you feel is rigged is surface level. The books being in business is addiction. It's those, hey, I'm chasing. It's not what we're doing. One of my rules, I don't chase. I don't gamble to get rich. You never hear me speak like this. I don't bet to the hope of buying a Ferrari. That's not my intention. Isn't this? My intention is the love of the game, boxing. My intention is getting reads right and helping you boys make money. But the books being rich, though, is the more important concept of not everybody gambles like we gamble. People are going to be chasing, seeing that 10-1 dog. I'm going to sprinkle. And they didn't realize they've been sprinkling on that 10-1 dog for the last 3 years. And they've hit 2. And they're down 10,000%. And then you quantify that by 2 million people. That's why the books are the books. Not because a referee in Georgia deducted a point for a kidney shot that I've never seen before in my whole life as a boxer in that situation. And thank God it didn't affect the outcome. But if it would have, and we did lose that fight, I'm talking about Isley, who's super mid, by the way. We knew Troy Isley wasn't. We knew he was good enough to beat Joe Hicks. But if that point would have proved to be costly and ruined our tickets, and you said that it was rigged, I still would have my same opinion. I would say it was bullshit. I would say it was the Ruben Aguiar DQ is bullshit. The Carolyn Valle DQ is bullshit. But I wouldn't say it was rigged. And I wouldn't say because it was rigged, that's why Vegas has big buildings with marble floors. They have all that for everything I just said. The degeneracy, the addiction side of things. Johnny, do you tape UFC? I watch all the fights. I don't do tape like I do boxing. There are just so many variables in MMA matchmaking, UFC matchmaking. I'm very high on Cortez versus Mark Masayo. I think Cortez will be too much. You think so? I don't know. So it's tough to take a read on Mark. You know, Mark is confident. You know, he loves the new contract. He looked good in his last fight against P-Droid, and he could punch. I don't have an exact read yet. I reckon Mason is going to grapple heavy. He's got his UFC spot back now. It's time to stack up wins. Bro, Baku. Now you're looking at Dorsonville. Drill. Team Drill. I'm taking Team Drill. I'm going to go with my boy making a debut. I'm going to go with that aggressive style. Hungry. Team Drill. That's my dog. I'm going to put it in right after this. Who is Mason fighting? Oh, Markel Medeiros. Here's my take on Markel Medeiros, though. I remember when Markel Medeiros was fighting, it was either CFFC. LFA, or the other one that UFC, because I have the UFC Fight Pass and I watch all of the regional MMA on that. And when he's a front runner, he looks amazing. When he's when he's the hammer, he looks like people were saying this about Medeiros before he was in the UFC. When he was just Medeiros will storm through a lesser talented guy. I'm glad you brought this fight up. The minute there's pushback, the minute that, for me, 11-1-1. Yeah. He's 3-0. He had the draw in the UFC against Taco. What was the fight he lost? Guzman split. Fury. He fought in Fury FC. He fought in the Fury FC. Santiago Guzman. He lost a close decision. It's his only loss. But I remember watching that fight because Fury FC, they were building cards around him, and he was super young, super green. I know he's more skilled now, and they were talking about his potential. But I remember thinking to myself, man, when you even Lonnie Kavanaugh doesn't have a perfect record. We've seen him get stopped. We've seen him lose, but his body, I don't know if I've seen Lonnie kind of give up on himself, question himself in the corner. If you watch the 2022 Fury FC fight against Guzman, a fight he lost, I've seen him show such negative nonverbal communication, talk back to his corner. I remember thinking to myself, mental note. I was like, mental note, because that was 4 years ago. Now he's in the UFC. He's 3-0 with one draw, and he's looked good. He, unanimous against Choinsky. He won a split against Thud. Shout out to Thud Hubbard, Austin, and unanimous against Quinones. All I'm saying is, as you could tell, his results: unanimous, split, unanimous since he got to the UFC. A draw against Taco. A draw against Taco's Taco's good. I think Mason Jones buries him. I like Mason Jones in that spot. I gotta be honest with you. Mason Jones is a guy who feeds and relishes on that self-doubt if you watch him fight, if you watch that style. I think this is unless Medeiros is going to get him out of there early, maybe when Mason shoots and catches him with a knee. We've seen that before. I think the longer this fight goes, dude, Mason Jones is a goddamn animal, dude. He has a good tank. He's big. He's aggressive, grappling. I remember when Mason was 19. He's 31. I watched Mason Jones. That's crazy. I'm an old head. I like Mason in this spot. I gotta be honest. Sorry. Yeah, Brett Hassett, when he knocked Hassett out, he debuted. So he was 20. He debuted when he was 21. So I remember watching him from his debut. And the minute he debuted on Cage Warriors, you kind of saw it. Like, damn, this kid's good. We're gonna find out. I mean, I know Medeiros can't believe that he's the real deal. Thoughts on WBO rewarding Janovic with the title shot in a division he's never fought and coming out? Insane. Absolutely insane. Well, it's not just, it happens all the time in boxing. What do you like? Ryan Garcia. Crazy. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely insane. Not a fan of it. Janibek still has to go out there and win a fight. And you guys asked me this the other day on a stream. It's tough. It's tough in this day and age. Like, with so much supplementation going on, everybody trying to get an edge. You know, we saw this in Rocky IV in the mid '80s with Ivan Drago, the supplementation, the steroids. They showed that in a movie because they knew it was going on. You know what I'm saying? They didn't just invent that scene where Drago was being injected. That was going on then. It's always gone on in one way or another. It wasn't like Sly was like, "Hey, let's just imagine if Drago did steroids." You know, that would be crazy. No, it's like, bitch, because athletes have always looked for an edge in one way or another. In a competitive, anything competitively, people are looking for edges. Like, you look at like things like Conor Ben, Ryan, Canelo, the whole camp with Eddie, basically anyone who's ever been coached by Eddie Reynoso, Janibek Elamhanalei, guys who, you know, tainted supplement, this sort of thing. I I'm kind of like numb to it all in terms of when I hear about it, when I read about it, it's like, again, it's like, do we have footage of them shooting? Do we have their steroid manufacturer on tape showing him shoot? And that's kind of like where I am. Like, all right, if it's not that, like, what do we? I don't know. I'm definitely not as stern. Like, my stance on drug use is very stern when it comes to that. Like, if it's difficult though, because like ideally, if I see a guy shooting steroids and he's a boxer, lifetime ban. I'm a lifetime ban guy. But because of like, there's a lot of like nuance to like these. There's been false positives with these testing. There's been supplement manufacturing companies having to make statements afterwards that their creatine product or the protein product was being manufactured on the same sort of machinery that was doing like cattle pressing tablets such as Equipoise or Winstrol, basically anabolic steroids. So there's a lot of like, it's never sort of cut and dry. Maybe there needs to be more regulation around the suspension itself, something in stone. If whether you did it or not, if you've been convicted of being of doing PEDs and you've been suspended or you've been stripped, and you know there's a time away, you should definitely have to fight your way to a belt. You shouldn't just surprise. I'm back, motherfucker. And guess what? I get to fight for a belt. Like, what, dude? Like, okay, bro. Like that seems fair. So yeah, it's complex. Teo has always struggled with runners, but who have no problem counterpunching Raleigh. God, I love how much energy we're putting into this one. Raleigh gonna look like Taylor or Claggett. I think Raleigh can knock out Teo. Teo doesn't have punch to keep Raleigh off him. Raleigh hasn't knocked somebody out in half a decade. Are you going to count Barossa? If you count Barossa, then okay. Then Raleigh's knocked two people out in half a decade. Because I don't count Barossa. And if you keep seeking, when was the last time he had a knockout? 2021. It's 2026. It's at 47. Who's Raleigh's best win? Ryan? Did he look super impressive against Ryan when you rewatch that fight? I don't know, man. All of a sudden, he's going to. Teo's never been stopped. Raleigh's been stopped twice. So if anything, you'd be like, well, Raleigh gets over his lead foot, he over punches, he gets out of position. We've seen him stop before. He's very susceptible to counters. And maybe moving up to 47, Teo having better timing, better speed, and better counters. Maybe there's a way that Teo stops Raleigh. I would entertain that than the one punch Hail Mary pat the victory of Raleigh. Only based on what we've seen. We've seen Raleigh stopped before. We've never seen Teo stopped before. And what's even crazier is what you guys said about Raleigh before the Ryan fight. And I'm a Raleigh fan. It's no secret. Do you rate Ryan? How do you rate? What's Ryan's best win? Barrios? Okay. So what I'm saying here is when you ask your questions about Teofimo, Teofimo has a Hall of Fame resume. Look, he has fought. Like, Teofimo has been in there with undisputed champions, has wins over Hall of Famers. Um, he's only 29. Like, he has, this is an opportunity for him, the redemption thing, to become a 3 division world champion. So, I don't know what boxer Raleigh had a problem with. What boxer? So, any name one fight he's ever had that he struggled with? Raleigh never looks like he's coasting. You know what I mean? Like, in this, he doesn't really. I'm not including his early knockouts on the way up. I mean, he wasn't coasting against Barroso. Barroso kind of beat him. Even the last half of the Ryan fight, it wasn't like he was just doing enough. So, if anything, what I'm taking from this is Raleigh probably has a higher fight IQ than people give him credit for. You know what I'm saying? Raleigh knows how to do just enough to win a round. That tells you something. And he doesn't throw a lot, but at least in the Ryan fight, what we saw was once he domesticated him with the knockdown, it's not like he was putting himself in precarious situations to get hurt. He was doing enough to win rounds, banking rounds, and won a decision, was happy with it. So, what boxer has he ever problem with? I mean, he was struggling with Barroso. Barroso was throwing 2 combinations. He was dipping his head in and throwing his big overhand, and then he would throw the combination with the lead hook and the overhand. That was it. Guys, I'm about to wrap it up, playa. Yeah, playa. It's more of a fade for Emmers. I know I like Emmers though. See, I'm a sucker for old unks who are strikers in the UFC. I like when Emmers is when they pair Jamal up with guys that he's like more skilled than on the feet. He looks, dude. When you watch Jamal Emmers highlight tape, there's a version of him where you're like, this kid could fight for a title. Like, but there's a lot of those guys in the UFC, and that's why it's so hard to bet MMA consistently and win. Is because the weakness you don't always see the highlighted weaknesses in a fighter's game. A lot of that all has to do with matchmaking. What do you think Nelby Tovac's ceiling? I know people are high on him, aren't they? Seems to not be very high, but his handlers are high on him. They keep putting him in these spots. He's still young. I think it's a good question, Rizza. I think it's going to come down to what we see fight in and fight out. He's fighting a blown up cruiser, hasn't fought in 3 years. Yeah, they're trying to manufacture. It's part of our sport. I mean, I still have questions. Like, I can't wait to see some of the questions I have for Moses. I've seen content creators already talk about Moses as the greatest heavy. I've seen guys that I respect in boxing comparing Moses to Ali. I'm like, damn, dude, I just can't do that. I'm not doing that. Hell no. Are we really doing that? Well, we'll see how he looks against Hergovich. I mean, it's a nice step up for him. But let's see what Moses looks like against Hergovich. I can't wait to see what Terramona looks like when he steps up. I thought we had one in America, but we don't. It seems like I put a lot of hype behind Josh Edwards, but we've seen. I don't know. I think with TFAC, I think it's important from the lessons we've learned historically with heavyweights is just take it fight by fight. And it's hard for us who sitting here to understand the power, like what it feels like to get touched by those punches. And sometimes in a case like Wilder, if you got that touch, you could be iconic. So they think they have something with Nelvy. I got to see more. Douglas line is so saturated. I'm going to pass on that fight. FJ, you a beast. That's a crazy hit, by the way. Are you going to make a moonshot? Eddie, only for the Discord boys. So the public boys don't burn me at the stake. I like where we are a year in. A year into this. Damn, StreamYard. They just took a bunch of money out of my account. I'll do the moonshot and put it in the Discord. Tio's coin flip. Guys, I'm going to wrap it up. The Pew, I haven't seen my boy in a while. Good day. When does college ball start? In a few weeks. College parlays will be great. We're going to do it. We're going to do a pugilist. Listen to Shore, give him his prediction. Yeah, but just remember, guys, I didn't hear about he said he looks fast. No, Teo looks good. Taking Robocop over Fluffy. MMA boys. I'm taking Robocop over Fluffy. Had Strickland beating Fluff. Hoping Robocop could do the same. Only thing worries me is his cardio if it goes late. Everyone knock out that like button. The Swindler. On that note, I did have the hat, but because my hair's got long, I can't really wear the hat. The Swindler hat is back. Steroids are out. My dog of the week is Auntie Tortina. Maeli Flores. You guys know that. All right, boys. 90 minutes in, 71. We peaked at 104. Best community in the world. Our boots are dug in. The fights are less than 24 hours. Whether we agree or we disagree, good luck to you guys. The JSB Insiders, you have 5 tickets up now. So look in the Patreon, look at the YouTube member section. I'm going to post 2 UFC picks now, a parlay and my dog. And if you're not in our Discord, what are you waiting on? The link is pinned. It's a couple bucks a month. Good luck to everyone.